Greetings, this is Dr. Rick Busen, your professor for the class. Today we're going to be looking at the styles of music that were around before jazz came about. And we're kind of looking at the area of time from 1890 to the early 1920s. Looking at first at a thing called vaudeville. And so from the 1880s to the 1920s, vaudeville was the main form of entertainment in America, and it usually consisted of a series of unrelated acts, things like magicians, acrobats, comedians, trained animals, jugglers, singers, and dancers. It was kind of like a circus act, a variety show. It was performed anything from small towns to the big cities, and employed lots of talent. Estimated around 25,000 performers were involved in vaudeville in those years. And it was a central part of American life, something people look forward to doing at the end of the day or maybe on the weekends. The blues singers, Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey, they actually got their start in vaudeville, and we'll be taking a look at their career later on in the class. A style of music that was very popular before jazz was ragtime. So it's considered a forerunner to jazz. African American piano style, those are the people that wrote it and performed it. And the way the piano operated in this style, you would have a syncopated melody rhythmically in the right hand, and then a very steady left hand accompaniment that would be right on the beat. And this was pre-planned with and totally written out with no improvisation. And the way they market it, in addition to written sheet music, they had piano rolls that were sold to people that had player pianos in their homes. I have a picture of a player piano in the bottom lower right corner there. And Steinway came out with one first in 1910. Looking at the main artist that is important to the style, Scott Joplin is considered the king of ragtime, and he was born in Texas. He's a composer and a pianist. By the age of 14, he was playing in these little bars that we call honky-tonks and piano bars along the Mississippi River. He actually was formally trained. He studied composition at George R. Smith College. His most famous composition was published in 1899, Maple Leaf Rag, and it sold over 1 million copies. And ironically, he didn't make much money. The publishers made most of the money from that. He worked as a teacher, a composer, and a performer in New York. And so, yeah, he kind of nickel and dimed it. Another important force, if you will, in this era was a thing called Tin Pan Alley. And these are American publishers and songwriters of popular music in the early 19th and 20th century. And it was located in the heart of New York City. And it's got its name from the environment in which these people wrote the music. They would have their own little cubicle with a piano in it, and they would just, all day long, they would write little tunes, and they would put together the lyrics and the song. And so you can kind of imagine the sound of all these people writing music together and how that would have sounded on these kind of inexpensive pianos. Kind of like, kind of noisy. Tin Pan Alley, they called it. Tin Pan Alley supplied music by composing ballads, dance music, vaudeville tunes, and their main market was the amateur musician in the home. They supplied sheet music for people that could play piano at home or maybe some other instruments. Home music making, pretty popular at this time. And so these songwriters, they would work most of all day long to supply music, to supply the demands. Now, the growth of media and the publishing industry, there's a little bit of supply and demand here. The growth of film, audio, recording, radio, and television created an increased demand for more different kinds of music. And so the publishing industry had a hand in that. Other publishing centers arose to supply melodies for these demands. And eventually, Tin Pan Alley wasn't such a powerful thing anymore because there were more different publishers, and they went out of business eventually. And that's it for today. Thank you.